Look, let's be real. There's been times in this last year when we've all reached for something that you could probably term comfort food. Full transparency, my soft spot's for cookies. As a result, with expendable income for lots of people not going in the usual directions, with pubs closed and holidays cancelled, this particular area, treats and cakes and the like, have exploded this last year. One person that's been riding that wave fairly spectacularly the last year or so has been Lucy Noakes, the proprietor of the Vanilla Bean Cake Company in Thrapston.
So yeah, I'm Lucy, I'm 23. I started Vanilla Bean back in 2018, just working from my parents' kitchen.
Over the last year though, what started out as a small homespun affair out of her parents' kitchen has been rapidly growing in size and profile as Lucy began selling her creations locally.
Just doing a little bit every now and then it sort of took off when I got a thing with a strawberry picking farm, and then did their season of cake supplies, and then wedding cakes sort of happened, and then the farmers market happened, and then my following just kept getting bigger and bigger, and then I would have queues no end at the farmers market and sell out every time when I did Thrapston's farmers market.
When I first met Lucy about a year ago, we were recording an interview for a different podcast, and at the time she was still baking at home and the shop was just a pipe dream we talked about. It's clear something in the last year for Lucy had obviously gone very right. When life's handing out lemons, some people just seem to have a knack of knowing how much sugar and flour to add to end up with a pretty good drizzle cake at the end of it. This is Recovery Through Enterprise, a podcast series where we meet and showcase some of the amazing small and medium businesses across the East Northamptonshire region that call the Nen Valley home. You can find out more information on the project and the range of support and assistance available for local businesses over on our website at recoverythroughenterprise.co.uk. For now though, welcome to the show. We're really glad to have you along. School's a funny place. For some people it's where they begin to draw the roadmap for their lives and work out what that journey begins to look like. For others though, the journey isn't quite so clear-cut.
You know what, I actually wanted to be a veterinary nurse when I was at school.
Really? This is quite different then.
Opposite, yeah. But school was hard for me. I left at age 15 with no GCSEs due to mental health problems.
Okay.
Back then, the schools weren't as supportive as they are now. It was completely different. Mental health was not really that much spoken about. It was only I want to say 7 or so years ago. But even back then, even in that such small timescale, mental health now is completely different to how it was then. No one was very understanding. I was very, very poorly. And so until the age of 18, I didn't really leave the house to do anything. I was baking in between then as well. I would use that as my coping mechanism.
Sure.
It's no disrespect to say that for a lot of people that we've spoken to in this series, recalling their school days might be a bit of a stretch back into the memory banks. But for Lucy, who at 23 is easily the youngest of the business owners I've met on this journey, it's actually not that long ago. And while school might not have been the ideal environment for her, out there in the real world things started to take shape kind of organically, and she started to work out what it was she was going to do with her life.
So I had worked in Thrapston previously before in the cafe on the high street, which is now called Bennett's. So I worked there for just over 2 years, I think it was. So I just did like coffee, pot wash, made some food and stuff. And I sort of built up baking from there. But I've had no training, I've not done any courses, I've got no degrees as such in baking. It's all pretty much self-taught.
Whatever lessons it was that Lucy put herself through, it's obviously some good stuff. By the time Lucy began selling her creations under her own Vanilla Bean name, she very quickly started gathering a hungry audience, with queues forming at local farmers markets and referrals starting to get her name out locally.
It sort of took off when I got a thing with a strawberry picking farm, and then did their season of cake supplies, and then wedding cakes sort of happened. And then the farmers market happened, and then my following just kept getting bigger and bigger. And then I would have queues no end at the farmers market and sell out every time when I did Thrapston's farmers market. And in the end, my mum and dad got very fed up with me taking over their kitchen all the time, And then I wasn't even living at home at this point. I was out and was still using their kitchen.
Wow.
So, yeah.
If things were going to continue to grow at this kind of pace, Lucy was going to have to think a little bigger. First thing she needed was some help. Luckily, in that regard, help was at hand.
So I've got Rosa, who is, she's incredible. She's like my PA, she does everything for me. She manages social media and all that sort of thing. And she does baking as well. So I honestly don't know what I'd do without her, because how we manage to get everything done ready for a Saturday opening at the minute is just, it's crazy.
Sure.
Yeah.
As it was then, things were building nicely for Lucy at the start of 2020 before the world started to turn. During the first lockdown, with less opportunity to get out to events and with wedding season all but cancelled, Lucy began to add some additional products to the mix.
Over the first lockdown, I did brownie drops and stuff where I'd go out and deliver them, but that was just me on my own. I've been so lucky that whenever they do these lockdowns, I always get in touch with my local council and see, because sometimes it's not really clear what businesses can and can't stay open, etc.
Sure.
And luckily, I've been able to stay open.
Through the summer, with Lucy back in attendance at the farmers' markets, the queues returned, and this time stretched even longer with social distancing taking effect. But then in the autumn, as if the year hadn't been a challenge enough, life threw another curveball Lucy's way with the passing of her father. An event that left her feeling strangely galvanised to act on the conversations they'd been sharing last summer.
Unfortunately, I lost my dad back in August last year.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
No, it's fine. It was very unexpected. It was very sudden as well. But before he passed away, him and I were discussing me getting a premises.
While Lucy was obviously very keen to realise the vision she'd shared with her dad last summer, the decision to move to a commercial premises was one driven just as much by practicality, as the operation was rapidly outgrowing the home kitchen.
Well, everyone had enough of me in the kitchen, and I just ran out of space. I was using my old bedroom as storage, and it just wasn't becoming ideal. So someone else in Frapston helped me figure out where I wanted to be, and actually this place came up, and and here I am.
In a whirlwind of icing sugar and pink wall paint then, Lucy picked up the keys in November and quickly got to work making the space her own, launching the cake shop in early December.
I moved in the November. We did work throughout the whole of November, and I opened on the 12th of December. So yeah, and it's been chaos ever since.
Chaos is right, but definitely in a good way. Even a cursory glance at the shop's social media page can attest it's so far been a roaring success. Pictures and videos of queues snaking down the road to get in and pick their cakes up on a Saturday. The other thing that's immediately apparent is that for all of this chaos, her and Rosa seem to be having an absolute blast doing it.
I can't quite believe it. It still feels like I don't really feel like I'm a shop owner now.
But a shop owner she is, and one that it would seem has got some big ideas in place for 2021, including hopefully having the shop open a few more days.
So I'm hoping maybe a couple more days a week, and I'll be able to have some seating inside and outside eventually. So we're getting a coffee machine, and so you can come in and have like a piece of cake and sit down with a cup of coffee or whatever. So yeah, and then maybe I'm even looking into getting some sort of ice cream in the summer and that sort of thing. So I've got a lot of plans.
As if all of that wasn't enough, as 2021 takes shape, Lucy's already looking forward and plotting the next step in the journey with the launch of a new website, unlocking Thrapston's own little secret to the rest of the UK.
We're also in the process of setting up a website to do postal orders, which means anyone in the UK can then order from myself. So that's the next major step for me. And the brownie box drop on the website will just be a once a week thing. Okay. So yeah, it'll be, we want to make it easier for us to manage, otherwise we'll just get so overwhelmed by it all. But yeah.
With our collective appetite for something sweet showing no signs of abating anytime soon then, it's clear the future looks bright for Lucy, Rosa and their growing army of beanies.
I cannot believe the success it's been having. It's honestly, it's bigger than I ever imagined. And if this is what I'm doing now in a pandemic, I just can't even think about what it's going to be like when all this is over as such. So yeah, it's crazy.
While not being known as one of the world's great bakers, Elon Musk said that building a company is like baking a cake. You have to have all the right ingredients in the right proportions. And it's clear talking to Lucy that whatever recipe she's been following these last couple of years seems to be a hit so far. Be sure to look up the Vanilla Bean Cake Company on Facebook or check them out at their brand new store in Thrapston. Saturday's only for now, mind, but believe us, it's worth the queue. Recovery Through Enterprise is a project designed to deliver support and assistance to businesses across the East Northamptonshire region. Be sure to check out our website for more information at recoverythroughenterprise.co.uk or check out the dedicated Recovery Through Enterprise pages on LinkedIn and Facebook. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe to this podcast in your app of choice to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. For now though, thanks for joining us. This podcast was a production of So Very Creative. You can find more information on our website at soverycreative.com. Next time on Recovery Through Enterprise.
And of course, when we're talking about businesses, I don't just mean the high street. The high street has been impacted clearly at the moment. But there are businesses. So we were told at one stage that there are 1,000 businesses in Raunds, 1,000 businesses. There's only a population of 10,000. So the vast majority of those businesses, of course, are home-based or they're virtual businesses, they're online. So we wanted to try and do something to make sure that we could support them.
When lockdown hit, the high street and small local businesses were hit particularly hard. Find out how the businesses of one local town were able to fight back and keep their businesses afloat next time.